Hey, I'm Courtney Waterman, your tutor. Lover of anime, manga, and math. And you just tuned into another session of Tutor Me Sempai. Welcome back, everyone. Today we're jumping into a 10th grade topic using trig ratio reciprocals. Now, if you're new to my channel, I'll be putting time codes in for this video in the description box below, so use that to skip ahead to whatever part of the video you think is most interesting. As always, if you have any questions about what we see today, or even your own homework, you can always put it in the comment box below, or visit my Facebook page at Tutor Me Sempai and tell me all about it there. At the end of this video, I've been linking my 10th grade playlist, in which I cover a lot more topics, so if you're interested in that, make sure you stay tuned. This video will have 3 examples, so leave a like, smash subscribe, and let's get started. So in my previous video, we talked about trig ratio reciprocals, and I gave you 2 very easy ways of remembering which ratio goes with which reciprocal. If you hadn't seen my video, no worries, you can find it right up here. However, if you have seen that video and you're all caught up on this topic, let's jump straight into using our trig ratio reciprocals. So in this example, you see that we're starting with a right triangle, and we need to find what secant of theta is. Now we notice that this is theta here, and we want to find secant of this theta. Now, if you're unlike me and you can remember what the ratio is immediately, perfect. But if you are like me, I need a little bit more help here. So instead of going directly into figuring out what secant of theta is, I'm going to have to do a couple more steps. The first thing that I would do is start with your SOHCAHTOA. Now you may be thinking, SOHCAHTOA helps us for our basic trig ratios, not the reciprocals. Well, it's going to help us today. So we're going to start with SOHCAHTOA. After I have my SOHCAHTOA here, the next thing I want to do is figure out how I'm going to remember which trig function goes with which reciprocal. Well, I'm going to use the number 3 is for me method that we talked about in that previous video. So in order to do that, we have to write our trig functions in a certain way. So it's secant theta, we have cosecant theta, and we have cotangent theta. Now, if you're not used to seeing cosecant like this, you need this in order to use the number 3 is for me method. So if this is going to be a little bit too unfamiliar for you, no worries, you can use the other one. But for our examples today, we're going to be using number 3 is for me. So now that we have our SOHCAHTOA and our way of remembering which trig function goes with which reciprocal, let's solve this question. What is secant of theta? Well, the first thing we need to do is figure out which trig function this is the reciprocal of. So using number 3 is for me, we determined that it's going to be cosine. Secant is going to be the reciprocal of cosine. And we can now go back to our SOHCAHTOA. SOHCAHTOA lets us know what our ratio is for sine, cosine, and tangent. And if we're trying to find the reciprocal of cosine, we can start with this right here, this ca. And cosine was adjacent over hypotenuse. That lets us know that secant, which is the reciprocal of cosine, is going to be hypotenuse over adjacent. This is how we're going to use our SOHCAHTOA to help us figure out our reciprocal ratios. Now that we have this, let's determine what is going to be our hypotenuse and what is going to be our adjacent. Now, our hypotenuse is going to be fairly simple. It's always going to be opposite of your right angle. And we have a right angle right here, so our hypotenuse is going to be this 85. Now we have adjacent. First, we have to figure out where is our theta. Our theta is here. So we want to find the side that's adjacent to our theta. Now it's not going to be the hypotenuse, it's going to be the other side, which is this 36. And this is going to be our secant theta, 85 over 36. Let's jump into our next example. So for our second example for today, we have this right triangle here, where we have one side is 5 yards, another one is 12, and we have a 13 right here. And we want to figure out what is cotangent of theta. Now, cotangent may just be the easiest of the 3 because tangent is in the name. So we automatically know that cotangent is going to be the reciprocal of tangent. So we can bypass this step and go straight to our SOHCAHTOA. SOHCAHTOA lets us know that the ratio of tangent is opposite over adjacent. We want to find a reciprocal, so that means that our cotangent is going to be adjacent over opposite. Now we just have to figure out, according to our theta, what is going to be the adjacent side and which is going to be the opposite side. So looking at this, our theta is here. The opposite side is definitely going to be that 5, so that's going to be in our denominator. And the adjacent is going to be the side that's not our hypotenuse, right? We don't want the hypotenuse, which is always going to be opposite the right angle. We want this 12 here. So 12 over 5 is going to be our cotangent of theta. Let's move on to our last example for today. So for our third and final example for today, we have this right triangle in which one side is going to be 4 rad 19, and we have another side which is 2 rad 5, and we have our last side which is 18, and all of them are going to be in feet. And we want to figure out what is cosecant of theta. Well, the first thing I would do is let's make sure that if we're going to be using number 3's for me, we rewrite this as cosecant of theta, just so you're used to writing it in this form. If you have it like this and you want to use number 3's for me, this is the form you're going to need to write it in. Now, you don't have to do this. You can definitely leave it. You know that they are going to be the same thing, but just try to remember that this is the same as this. So if it doesn't look like that, make it into that, and then use number 3's for me to figure out what is this going to be the reciprocal of. So we jump over here. We see that number 3's for me tells us cosecant is the reciprocal of sine. So if we're trying to find the reciprocal of sine, we go to sine and we see that it's opposite over hypotenuse. The reciprocal of sine is going to be hypotenuse over opposite. So we're going to know that this cosecant is going to be the hypotenuse over opposite. You're just flipping these letters. That flips the order for your ratio. Now we have to determine what is our hypotenuse and what's our opposite side. So this is our theta. And our hypotenuse is always going to be opposite this right angle. So we immediately know that 18 is on top. And our opposite here is going to be this 4 rad 19. Let's not leave it like this because we should never leave radicals in a denominator. So multiply top and bottom by this rad 19. And you're going to get 18 rad 19 up here. And you're going to get 4 times this 19 in the denominator. You can further simplify this to be 9 rad 19 over 2 times 19, because 2 is going to be common for 18 and 4. And when you combine that, you're going to get 9 rad 19 over 38. And this will be your final answer here. Cosecant of theta, whether you write it this way or that way, is going to be 9 rad 19 all over 38. So this is how we can use our trig ratio reciprocals. First, you got to use your method to remember what do they even match with. And then go back to your SOHCAHTOA. It's still usable even if you're looking at the reciprocals. So I hope you're able to follow along with today's examples, and I hope you now see how simple it's going to be for you to use your trig ratio reciprocals. However, if you have any questions about what we saw today, or even on homework, you can always put it in the comment box below, or visit my Facebook page at Tutor Me Sempai and tell me all about it there. If you haven't done so already, remember to leave that like. It surely helps the channel by letting YouTube know that you found the video helpful. And if you found the video helpful, so can someone else. So leave a like, hit the notification bell, smash the subscribe button, and share this video with a friend. Well, that's all the time I have for today. I really hope this helped with your homework. I'm looking forward to seeing you again next week. I'm Courtney. This is your playlist, and this has been another session of Tutor Me Sempai.